Before we get into this week's episode, I just felt it important to acknowledge that this weekend, people all over the country protested the police murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many other black people. The police in most of those places met peaceful protesters with horrific violence, and that Black Lives Matter. I don't think my normal pitch or promo is necessary this week. It might not be necessary for a while. I hope that listening to this interview brings you any respite if it can, and if not, I get that too. But I didn't want to not say anything, and I didn't want to do my usual spiel. So Black Lives Matter. Moving on to this week's episode. It's with the incredible Brettzo and America Online at AOL.com. They are good friends of mine, really funny, insightful, and intelligent humans who perform burlesque and use the power of comedy to entertain folks all over. I hope you can enjoy this. And if not, I get that too. But this is my interview with the incredible Brettzo and America Online at AOL.com. Cheers.
To do a quick little hand touch because I have the habit of over talking everyone.
You, Brettzo, really?
Shocking.
Never.
It just seems so unlike you.
Wait, what?
All right, awesome. Well, Brettzo and America Online at AOL.com. Thank you for joining me on Autographs.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I will start by saying that, America, I love your name because the first time I heard it, which I think was at Nerdlesque Fest, was the first show we worked together, which is funny because I think you had come to shows with Brettzo before you had started performing, and I might have met you. But I know I for sure met you when you did your Porg act. And my favorite thing is that when they announced you, I just went, I'm sorry, what? What was that name?
Yep.
And then I talked to another performer. I can't remember who. It might have been Victor actually, who was like, "No, you have to say the whole name.
You have to say the full thing.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say AOL. That's not the name. The name is and I looked up your page online to see how I'm going to put it in the text of the title of the episode because you also type it out very specifically a certain way, which I think is hilarious.
That's for good reason.
Yeah, that's definitely for good reason because America Online found me, and they're like, they issued a cease and desist, but the loophole is if you have an email, you're advertising an email, so they can't get me there.
Ah, fascinating. Of all the people to get a cease and desist from. I think that's lovely.
Well,
that's how my dad found out I did burlesque, because the letter went to his house, and he was just like, what the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. He's just like, what does this mean?
That's amazing. So I guess let's start and assume that the folks listening haven't heard of either of you. So if both of you individually want to take a shot at giving yourself a small introduction, what you do, where you're based out of, the kind of shows you put on, that kind of thing, and then go from there.
Yeah. Brettzo?
Hi, it's me, Brettzo. Sorry. Hi, it's me, Mr. The Amazing Brettzo. Self-described president of Philadelphia Burlesque. I've been doing burlesque in Philadelphia and a few other cities for roughly 10 years. I've been a part of the scene for about 10 years, performing for about 9.5-ish. My first year only had about 3 performances, but I was part of a production team. So had my foot in the water, kind of expanded beyond there. Within my first 3 years of burlesque, Philadelphia's burlesque scene quadrupled. And I instantly went from being, the new kid on the block to being, the old guard. And that is a very odd shift, because people are like, oh, you're new, too. And I'm like, no, I've been doing this for 4 years. And then it's once you're at, 6 years, they're like, oh, you're brand new. I'm like, no, I've been doing this for 6 years. So I've gone from being a door person at a monthly show when there was only about 3 monthly shows in all of Philadelphia, and that's it. And then to a competition kind of circuit. Then there was my own productions I started doing. My first solo production was a burlesque show based on Arrested Development.
Amazing.
Which came out the month and that the new Netflix series came out, version of it. So kind of hit that zeitgeist. Then from that, went into doing weekly shows. And that's kind of where the pause button hit.
Oh, now it's my turn. Okay. I'm America Online at AOL.com. I started in late 2017, so I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. And I started in a competition called Philadelphia Burlesque Battle Royale, which is a 8-week competition where you just do different burlesque prompts for 8 weeks over and over and over with the chance to win $500. So I started there, and then I slowly got known for my shit posting online and design work. And I was offered to co-produce a weekly burlesque show because of that. So I've been co-producing a weekly burlesque show for the past 2 years, sans quarantine, but yeah.
Amazing. Well, and so like I know that I met Brettzo, I think, before we ever worked together. Mm-hmm. But for those who maybe are tuning into this for the first time, I was a producer, am a DJ, and had hosted burlesque in the past. I've scaled back my DJing just in time for it all to come to an end anyway. So,
yeah,
there's that. But while I know that I had met Brettzo through the Philadelphia scene before we worked together, the first show we ever worked together on was Metropolis Burlesque's very first BoJack Horseman show.
I was trying to remember that too.
Oh, that was the first? I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there.
You were in the audience. And I believe it was at the Slipper Room.
It
was. And so I remember about a week out from the show, I was kittening as Todd because Slipper Room has a DJ. Mm-hmm. And I was kittening as Todd, and you emailed me and went, hey, so I'm doing a Mr. Peanut Butter act, and I'm using the VO from the episode where he hosts the Oscars and loses his phone, and I'm going to chase it into the crowd. Do you want to chase it with me? And there were stars in my eyes. I was so excited. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And we've done that act several times, but I think that first night is probably still my favorite time that we've done it, because we literally terrorized that entire audience, and it was perfect.
Oh yeah, and also my favorite thing too is I couldn't get my phone out of its case before the number started. So I was kicking my actual phone on the floor.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was me.
No.
I think we've done it several times since then, and you have since just used a phone case.
Oh,
but
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I recall that first performance we were kicking around your phone.
Clearly has on the back of it a sticker I put out on a printable sticker thing that says, "Hi at me, Brettzo." And someone's like, I think this is your phone case. And I'm like, does it say Brettzo? And they're like, oh yeah, it does.
But it was that kind of sense of humor, and then even meeting America much later on, your porg face is unlike any other facial performance I've seen in burlesque. Because not only are you wearing a hood that has a porg face, you are also the entire time making the porg face, which is just delightful. So I guess my first question, talking about these kinds of acts, is obviously you're inspired by pop culture a lot and comedy for sure. Was that always the goal from the start of burlesque, is to lean into the comedic kind of pop culture-y side of it? Or did you kind of just fall into that?
For me, yeah, no, absolutely. When I first started to see burlesque, I was like, I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see. And it was just not the level of fun bullshit that I wanted. So I decided to bring the fun bullshit with me. What about you, Brettzo?
I mean, when I started back in the 2010s, the 20-teens, the aughts, I kind of looked at what was happening. Some people sent me a few clips of other male identified performers, because that was kind of what it was in Philly. There was maybe one other, and there was obviously guys doing it back in the 70s and early 80s, but there was mainly the hosts of shows were doing it. From the Peekaboo Review, Joey Martini and Count Scotula, they would do burlesque during their numbers, but it wouldn't be like a solo. It would be like during the hosting part or with a duet. So that's, I only really saw comedic. And then just straight off my body type, there's a certain thing where if you have a 6-pack or an 8-pack, you can do sexy and people just go, that's sexy. But I have like a permanent like beer belly. Like my body is built like a Simpsons character. Where I just have a constant like mini gut. Even at my like
Simpsons bod.
Yeah, Simpsons bod. Like even at my skinniest, at my like leathest, I just have this little belly and booty. So for some reason, I've just kind of, that's like my default. It's what I did in high school. It's like I may not have been the class clown, but I was the guy writing the jokes for the class clown. I'd say something at a lower volume, and then they would say it louder, get in trouble, and then the class would be like, "But you said it first." And I'm like, "I know. That's why I'm not in trouble." But no, I'd always kind of defaulted to comedy. But it is nice when I've done numbers that are straight up sex appeal. Actually, from Victor's episode, we mentioned listening to it. He is my vice president. That if you can make somebody want to fuck you for 5 minutes on stage, that's like more powerful. And I've gotten so many of those like slightly backhanded compliments? ?
Oh.
Oh yeah, there's a person in particular I think I've told you about that said that.
Okay. Yeah.
That was just like, oh god damn, Brettzo. Like, not right now, but those 5 minutes when you were on stage, I had to remember that I was married. Like, that kind of, like, compliment. Like, oh, thank you.
Thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
I in all the years that I hosted, like, I often did self-deprecating humor because I grew up as a nerd, and that's our MO.
Yeah.
And the one time I performed, I did a lip sync at our Panic at the Disco show. By our, I mean Magical Girl Burlesque, who I used to produce with. And after I got off stage, a person in the audience went, "Oh my God, Matt, I never thought of you as sexy, but during that act, I sure did." And I was like, thanks, I guess.
Thanks.
I mean, so like basically, like I think it boils down to they're like, you did the thing you're looking to achieve. You achieved it, and so like you shatter their expectations of you.
Yeah,
because for me, it's always just like I'm the comedy guy. It's like I've been on in my career on so many shows where literally I feel like the only reason I'm there is as the comic relief. Like this is a super serious show, but you're going to come out as the guy handing out candy canes.
But like also, I think also the idea of confidence in anything that you do, even if it's just like a bullshit like comedic number, and there's this sexiness and like complete confidence, like Sharp Robert doing like his Cobra Commander act.
Oh yeah,
where it's like a bullshit act, or his Dr. Manhattan act, for example, where he plays Life on Mars as Dr. Manhattan. And it's just like a very silly bullshit number, but you're like, wow, like, yes, the aura coming from you is like this powerfulness.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and I feel like that's something that burlesque carries and does really well. I feel like as long as you believe in what you're doing, like, I've seen plenty of acts that seem improvised or seem like you've lost track. And like even when, Brettzo, you're doing an act where it's a bit that you've dropped something or you've lost something, I wouldn't say it's inauthentic, but it does feel part of the show. And I think that must give you a certain level of confidence also because you're like, well, at least at this point, you have a reputation. So if you screw something up, if you play it off as a gag, who's going to know? Which I think is always kind of fun and something that comedy and pop culture lends better to than the sexy act. If you screw up a reveal on a sexy act, you can still recover, but it's harder because there's a level of seriousness to that doesn't exist in a comedy act.
Oh yeah, I mean like speaking of Metropolis Burlesque, I've done at their show and a few other shows a serial number, including my own show, Cyril Figgis from Archer. and like he has this like he goes from being like super confident to being like nebbish, like so quickly. So if you mess up something, it's all part of the act, kids. Like it's all part of the show, folks. Like I'm supposed to do this. But I always like try to, if I do something like that, and like somebody gives that like laughing like approval of like, oh, I see what you did there. Try to do like a little turn, like wink and nod, like, right?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I think that's super important when you're doing those kinds of acts. Do you guys have a favorite theme that you've done so far? I know you both have been in a variety of themed acts, from Comic-Con shows to Who Framed Roger Rabbit to all of the, like, just all of these different ridiculous shows that I've actually been in a bunch, and a lot of have been with Metropolis Burlesque, also who I used to DJ for quite frequently. But do you have a favorite theme or show to create for? Or something that you haven't done maybe that you want to create for?
So I have two. One is because I love Bjork so much. So much. And I was a part of a Bjork-lesque show, and it was the best experience ever, just being a part of this like group of nerds. And then my second one is the D20/fiction show, where I was J. Jonah Jameson, hot and horny for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've seen photos of that act, and it makes me angry how brilliant it is, because, like, in my head, I just hear J. Jonah when I see you performing this act.
Bless you. Yeah, it's a mixture of pictures of you by The Cure and Photograph by Weezer, so just mashing all the...
and quotes from the movie.
And quotes from the movie, because I have
because J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. He will always be.
That was one of the best parts of the Far From Home. When they bring him back.
Yeah.
They're just like, we can't get anyone better. And he's like, I'm not wearing the toupee. And they're like, great, shoot it.
Literally, my DMs were full of like, you gotta see Spider-Man, stay towards the end, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I never am vocal in a movie theater. I like to keep my voice down and behave in a movie theater unless otherwise instructed. But I literally, when that scene happened, I went, oh no! Like, I just lost it. Like, I lost control of my body. I was just so excited. It was very good. What about you, Brettzo? Some favorites from over the years of themes?
Well, speaking of speaking in theaters, one of my favorite themes that I've only done once was a Metropolis show. They did a Mystery Science Theater 3000 show, and in it, I think it was my third of 3 shows I'd done with them in a row. Like, it was something where they had the Archer show, so they're like, we want to bring you back for that. And then they had another show, and they're like, well, you submitted a really good number, so we usually don't do 2 people in like 2 months in a row, unless they're local, like out-of-towners. That's unheard of. And then they're like, the third one was MSC3K, and they're like, you son of a bitch. Like, we're in. So I proposed a number as The Master from one of the worst movies of all time, Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Hands of Fate, yep.
I set it to... I did a shorter version of the song, because I think it's about 8 minutes long, of Master of Puppets.
Yes.
Found a version on YouTube where the bassist Cliff, rest in peace, was remixed in louder, because Lars Ulrich had a habit of turning the bass down, the bass is down in all the mixes.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, because he wanted his drums to be the driving force of the band.
Fucking course.
It's also why in Metalocalypse there's a joke that Murderface's bass is turned down, because all
the time, yeah,
all metal, they're just like, fuck the bassist, but literally don't fuck the bassist. Fuck any of the other members. The bassist doesn't get any play. But no, so I found a mix of that, kind of shortened it, mixed it in the beginning of it with a bunch of sound cues as Torgo, the groundskeeper, with the goat legs. Started the number off as him, and then his theme just kind of drags out, much like the story does. And I started the number for about a minute and a half as Torgo. I walk. This is also at the Slipper Room. Walk off the stage, go backstage, completely change my costume. I have a few bits of costume underneath, and come back out during a guitar solo when they start chanting "Master, Master" as the Master. To his credit, Mo Chismo, who was hosting the show, was riffing on all the acts, and I was like, Mo,
amazing.
You can just riff, like, you just tear me a new one on riffs, because I'm going to be off stage for like a solid minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes if I miss my cue, which I did.
Oh no.
Well, I had to come back on time, so I had to wait to the next restart of the count.
Yeah.
So when I came back out and the lights are going, they're like strobes everywhere, fog. I come back out as the Master, and the audience, which is all there because they love the theme of Mr. China State MST3K, just loses it because I come back out. They're like, "Holy shit! You made the movie feel like
real time."
Real time. I made it. You made it. I mean, somehow I wanted to make it feel like a 2.5 hour movie in 5 minutes. And one of my idols in burlesque, Brief Sweat, was in the audience, like in his regular, real life, like Clark Kent secret person disguise, and was like, "Holy shit, man, you did it! You made that movie happen." And I didn't recognize him, so I was just like, "Thanks, stranger."
Thanks, kind stranger. I appreciate your compliment. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember the first time I ever watched Manos, it was the MST3K version, of course.
You
but
have to.
Even that version feels long. Like, that movie never doesn't feel long. So if you can convey that in a long-ish burlesque act, I mean, that's the goal. That's what you want to do. My next question, actually, since we talked about music quite a bit, is when you're constructing new acts, do you start with the theme and then find a song to fit it? Do you start with the song and go, I have to do something to this song? Or does it depend on the act?
It depends on the act. Mostly I have like a Spotify like playlist of like, oh, like these are songs you might like, and I just like go through a bunch of songs, like this hit like skip, and like, oh, this sounds great. I want to make a whale act to this, or like a Star Trek Voyage home act. This makes sense to me. And then I'll like message Brett to be like, hey, I got a great idea. Please listen to me for like 5 minutes about this idea.
That is one of my favorite things, is editing songs for her. Because it's like, when I edit songs for myself, it could take 6 hours of editing to get it right.
Right. But
when I'm editing a song for somebody else, I have like a sort of deadline. And especially with America, I can just ask her, like, how does this sound? Do you want this to go this way? Like, should I cut this weird interlude out or keep it in? Like, do you want to have more pauses? Do you want to have, like, a build-up?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful, like, because you're here all the time and we can work together on everything. So it's really nice to have, like, a supportive person that knows exactly what you're doing and what you're going through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just bounce.
Yeah, for my songs, it generally comes from, like, very rarely do I have an idea where it's just, like, this is the song. And when it is, it's, like, it's a more generalized number. I don't think most of my numbers that are based off of a song are, it's the costume that really does it. It's not, like, a reference to anything. And then, because then the song kind of like becomes the character. A suggestion that America did was I had to do a number for an apocalypse show, and I couldn't think of any songs. She suggested the Talking Heads.
Nothing But Flowers.
Nothing But Flowers. And from that, I was just like, oh, we have a ton of hair flowers here. Like, I can base this number off of that.
Yeah, I have like a habit of just digging through Spotify and just like, oh, this song would be perfect for like, oh, Waterloo by ABBA. You could do a Napoleon act from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Perfect. I just like write these things down. Just have like a little catalog of like when people are like, I'm having trouble today, and I'm like, I got you.
Yeah, like, or I have a number from Beck. His album Midnight Vultures, which is his like most Prince inspired album.
Oh, it is.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
there's a song at the end of the album called Deborah. It's like a crooner song, and that number, it's just based off of that. That actually is the first time I used bananas in a number, and that's literally because there's a part of the song that goes, like a fruit that's ripe for the picking. And I was like, ooh, time for a banana joke. Flash forward 3 years later, that's like a branding thing. But no, most of my other numbers just come from the character, and then I have to figure out a song that fits the character. So like my Judge Doom number, I was like, what would be the dumbest number? I'm dying, I'm melting, boom, done. I'll stop the world, and I'll melt for you.
I'll melt with you.
I'll melt with you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that when that song played, I just got mad because it was so good. And, like, that's the biggest compliment, is like, because I'm DJing this show, so obviously I hear the tracks in advance, and I'll play through them just to make sure that there are no corruption issues or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like I heard that and knew what you were doing and went, God damn it, that son of a bitch, that's brilliant. How dare he?
I mean, there's the first couple of times I've done that number, I've had people tell me, like, so when the cartoon sound effects kick in, I thought you were just going to do a number to cartoon sound effects for 5 minutes. And I was like...
It's on brand.
I was like, I'm going to take that idea and just write it down.
You have done a burlesque act to nothing.
Oh, I did, actually. I did a show where it was the... I think you mentioned in your show before the ability in burlesque to call each other stupid idiots and use it as the most, like, highest compliment. There was a show I was in. It was like put together really quickly by Honey Tree Evil Eye and Flirt Vonnegut here in Philly. It was called The Stupid Idiot Show. I personally like to take those two words and smash them together, a portmanteau of stupid idiot.
Amazing.
So I couldn't figure out what to do, and I wanted to do the dumbest thing I could possibly think of. So I put out a poll up on Facebook. And as a joke, I was like, stare into the void. That one won.
Yeah.
So for
it was 2016.
For like 2016 is a time. So for about 3 minutes, I just kind of like stared off into the audience. And luckily, at the time before he retired, Sharp Robert was there, and he's like, "Let me be your void. I will give you back the energy that you need to have to echo back." So I just kept on like stripping to silence. It was
both of you stripped to silence,
and then I started, and then he started, and because sometimes when you stare into the abyss stares back.
Right.
So that was like the bit, and it was just like people were just like shocked, appalled, clapping, and just being like not knowing how to feel, and just being like, oh, the emotion is like took. It was one of those things where.
You're making this sound like an art piece.
It was hashtag
this
arts.
Is high concept.
But no, like it was
high concept.
It was one of those things where like the thickness of the air in the room, like you could feel it.
Yeah.
So the tension, we had to cut it. So it's like, how do you cut it? You use all the skills you have, but in complete silence.
Yeah, I mean, I do say that a lot, and I mean, I get all of that brilliance from Nasty Canasta, who was the first person I heard call someone brilliant a stupid asshole or stupid idiot, because it's a compliment. And there's a lot of high art burlesque, but she has an act, I don't think she does it anymore, but she used to perform to like 3 minutes of car alarm sounds.
Yes. Ooh,
yeah.
And like, once I saw that, I went, oh, I get it now. You're an idiot, and I love you. Like, it's just also growing up in New York, it's like you hear it all the time. So for someone to actually do a classical burlesque act to a looping series of car alarm sounds is like, okay, I get it now.
We watched that on video, and even with despite scratch what I just said about having to be in person to experience something, we could still feel the tension from that. And it's like, I think everyone has heard that style of car alarm.
Yes.
Yeah. That was like a curriculum video that we had to watch during our burlesque battle royale of like, it was, I think, for Narrative Week or something. I don't know, but yeah, we saw that video of her, and I was like, "Holy shit! Who is this person? I'm a baby burlesquer. Who is this magical human being, Nasty Canasta?" And then I went down a nasty hole.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I feel like she'd appreciate that joke, or hit me. Either way, I'm okay with it.
Both, yeah.
So you both have been doing burlesque long enough that you must have a catalog of acts, and like if a specific theme comes up, obviously you'll go back to the well for that. But do you find more often than not you're creating new acts for stuff, or you're reusing acts that you have? Because I know there are some performers who just have a rotation of 5 to 10 acts and just use that rotation and stick to that. There are other performers who are creating constantly new stuff for every new show or every new theme. Do you find that you are one or the other, or a mix of both?
I definitely create for most shows. In Philly, there's not much of a... You can't really repeat acts too much because it's mostly the same audience, so it's pretty quick. And there's everything's theme, so I have to create a bunch of new acts, like, pretty often.
Yeah, I think at one point I looked at iTunes for all of the songs that have the word Brettzo in the title.
Yeah.
Because I tend... As a DJ for burlesque shows, I tend to use the method of, like, you put your name in the title of the song. Like, I don't care that the Rolling Stones actually sang this song initially. I need to know what your name is.
It's Brettzo.
Yeah. Not that I do a Rolling Stones song. But, so I looked through that, and there was, like, well over, like, 50 to 100, and that's just, like, in the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Basically, it's, I've done shows where I come up with the number once, I never do it again. I was in a Will Ferrell show. Like
what? Will
Ferrell.
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, not Will Ferrell, but Will Ferrell.
He's the singer from the Blackened Eyed Peas.
Blackened Eyed Peas.
Go away.
No, Will Ferrell show, and I did it as what's his name? The singer.
The singer?
He does it.
The Black Eyed Peas
Robert
singer?
Goulet.
Okay.
Goulet. I did a Robert Goulet number. I've done that number once. Like, but
why would you ever do that again? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's something where, but I have a lot of costume pieces that can be repurposed. For
same.
that. So I just was like, all right, I gotta wear 2 suits. Done.
This time?
Just only 2. So I did that once. I have one of my first burlesque numbers, number to Pee-wee Herman's performance of Tequila. That one I've done probably 20, 30 times in the past 10 years. Some cases, like, if I'm doing it for an audience that is my first time at that particular show, or I know the audience is going to be different, I'll bring out a classic like that, or my Indiana Jones Devo number. Like, that, I know they're going to grab onto it from the character versus just, like, I'm doing that Deborah number from Beck. Like, because one, it doesn't sound like Beck's voice. So it's like, no one's going to go off that's not a fan and go, oh, that's Beck. Like, this guy in a suit who pulls a banana and some juicy fruit out of his suit this is great. Like, so I feel like there's times where I have to, like, win an audience over, so I'll use something they can latch onto.
Right.
And hell, even I've done a number I mentioned earlier, my Cyril Figgis number. I had to do a performance where I took that performance and stripped out all of the references to him, and it's to a They Might Be Giants song.
Of course.
So I got to repurpose that, the song Spy. I got to repurpose that song and just do it straight up as a spy. And I kind of course, had to use an anchor point of spy versus spy.
I mean, of course, how could you not, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Since both of you create within pop culture so much, seemingly more so than other places, are you able to enjoy other media without dissecting it into burlesque? Or does everything you play, watch, listen to get filtered through, could this be burlesque?
Most definitely it does. Like, everything could potentially be burlesque, but, like, right now, I'm starting to disassociate from that more and more, where, like, before video games, soundtracks and whatnot would be strictly for burlesque and making weird art, and now it's just going toward other art that I do of, like, illustration and design, and so I'm definitely kind of pivoting where my creativity is going.
I mean, I went to school for film, so I've very long in my life deconstructed everything. So it's very rare for me to watch something and not be like, all right, so this is going to come back in the third act. I kind of, a lot of my filtering of media definitely goes into, like, structure. So it's just a matter of, like, readapting it for something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it could be like, I might readapt something I see or view as, like, a fan drawing, or
Sure.
It might be inspired that way. Like, I might watch an Andy Kaufman performance and be like, ooh, how do I take this and turn it into burlesque?
how do I take that particular energy and just transport that into burlesque?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like whenever you're pursuing any kind of art or working on any kind of project, it's impossible to completely turn that off.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the reasons I burned out on streaming early on before I went back to it in the last few years. When I tried it, when I first tried it when Twitch was new, I, like, got in my head about it and was like, well, I can't play any of these games because I need to save them for when I stream. And it ended up burning me out because I would put this pressure on myself to play certain games and do certain things. And now that I've found, like, oh, I can enjoy whatever I want, but if there's something I haven't played that's in my backlog, I might as well pull it forward and see if I can play it now or I want to share it with my audience. And, like, I mean, we've been connected on and off on the internet for a while, but we reconnected recently because I played Alan Wake on stream. I just finished it today as of when we're recording. And, like, you were both so excited that I was playing this game I'd never played before. And that kind of energy just kind of pushes you. And I feel like even when we're not necessarily going out of our way to create stuff, if we find stuff that we love or that other people love and share an enjoyment in, it only enhances those kinds of experiences.
Oh, absolutely. It's basically kind of doing what you love and then the positive reinforcement of everyone. Like, I'm really into this, that you're doing what you love. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
get
like,
it.
Magnets, how do they work?
Catch those thermoses. I love it.
Yes, exactly. So, obviously, we are currently in a pandemic as of when we are recording this. When this goes up in 2 weeks and we're not, that would be great, but it's not going to happen. We're in for the long haul, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys doing to stay busy? I know some burlesque performers are doing online shows, or they are performing online, or they are recording videos to put up online, or leaning into other arts while they can. Are you guys working or doing things to keep the creative muscle flexing while you're stuck at home?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a graphic designer, so I've been going back to doing, like, more design work, illustration, animation, and then I've also been, like, streaming to be social with friends as well, and that's been super fun, of just trying to talk to a void audience, and just having fun and just shooting the shit.
Yeah, so far in this with burlesque, I've been a part of a Star Wars May the 4th show, and that one I just used a recording of a performance from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Whenever The Last Jedi came out.
How did it feel?
It was weird. Only time I've ever put videos up online is basically to apply to a festival. I have a very weird, a lot of people do, much like hearing your own voice, seeing yourself. I only see the mistakes where I mess up.
That's everyone.
It's everyone, but
everything ever.
So I rarely put video up, and when I do, it's for a purpose to, like, get into a festival or to really polish yourself. So I always have a critical eye when I do it. So this was the first time I put a video up online. Luckily, this particular performance, we had somebody in the audience related to the production filmed the number, just the whole show, and then I think I had America video my number 2, so I could cut I got back into my film school days of going into Premiere and doing camera 1, camera 2, cut to camera 2. That way, because there's parts where, someone's going to miss something. So that was something exciting to do, is getting that itch of video editing again.
Does it feel good to flex different muscles?
Oh yeah, no, it was weird. I had parts of my brain that I haven't operated since the early 2000s. And I was like, oh wow, I forgot how much I dislike Premiere. But also, I haven't used it in 15 plus years, so it's all brand new. Mm-hmm. They've made that so much easier. I went to go to a menu to do something and was like, where did it go? Looked it up on a YouTube tutorial, and it was like, oh wow, it's so much easier now. That's something I got to flex in the beginning of this, a month ago, roughly, beginning of the month. Then the end of this month, I have the first production I'm trying to put on in a streaming format. I've been streaming pretty much 3 days a week, doing live drawings. In addition to being a performer, I also occasionally have done comics in the past. More frequently, I'm an organizer for a group called the Philly Comics Jam. It's about a 11-year-old organization. I've been either organizing it by myself or co-organizing it for the past 9 years. It's a monthly meeting of comic book artists, generally more independent, that we occasionally have had members that are way more famous than they should be in our organization. We have a monthly meeting that's now also only online. We have more people drawing this time. Anyway, so I've been turning my Trice weekly streams into a drawing stream. Kind of channeling like a Bob Ross feeling of like, hey, I'm just hanging out with you. You, the audience, suggest something to me, and I'll draw this picture. From Magical Girl Burlesque, Betty Brash suggested a possum.
Surprise.
Shocking. For anyone who knows her.
Yeah.
Total shock.
I drew a picture. I told a story. I kind of riffed off of that prompt about a story of a possum at a bar I used to work at that would eat hot dogs out of our trash can. Bars like sell hot dogs and stuff, or used to.
Yeah.
This one possum would steal them out of the trash can. So he would sit on the fence eating hot dogs.
Idle.
So I drew a picture of a possum eating a hot dog. So that's been allowing me to flex my dormant skills. And from that, I'm also trying to go into a streaming show. Recently, in the past year, I noticed there were a lack of... We would have the dichotomy of the binary of a burlesquer and a boylesquer, a drag king and a drag queen. There might be a drag queen show, but there's going to be one, maybe two kings in the show. Or it's going to be a drag king only show. There's no boylesquers in your show. And I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see in that kind of that realm. So I decided to come up with a show called the Miscellaneous Masculine, or the Misc Mask. And I'm putting on, at the end of this month, a digital version of that. And I think tonight is the deadline? Question mark.
Never forget.
Well, never forget. It's as we record this, it's currently 9/11. But I'm going to actually, because this is coming out way after that point, I'm going to extend the deadline by a day or two, because I know there's 2 people that haven't applied that said they were going to. So I'm going to move the fence post. Is that the expression? Goalpost. The goalpost.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know
sports. Fence post, goalpost, whatever. I don't play sports.
I'm going to move the sports ball further down the line.
Yeah.
No, because I was like, he didn't apply. So I'm going to move that a little bit further down the line, because at this point, you can make a show a little bit longer. I don't need to bullshit on the microphone as the host for 5 minutes so somebody can get ready to get on stage.
That's a dream.
Yeah, I can make a show that is a tight, 69 minutes.
Nice.
And not have to worry about going over. A 2-hour show has only really about 45 minutes to of a performance time. Like I've looked at the details and the data on the playlist. Like it's not that long, so I can make it. I can put more people in an hour span of time, and if you stretch it to like 75 minutes, really no one's really going to care.
But the weird part about that is payment.
That is the trick. The tricky part in this new landscape is figuring out how do we pay people. The more people we have in a show, obviously, the less everyone gets paid. And it's a lot. I've been at shows where I feel like sometimes people in the physical space feel it's easier to tip digitally. So how is it in a digital realm only? Do people feel more inclined to tip to everyone or just their friends? This is my first time doing it, so it's a very new frontier for me. I've been talking to a few people about their experiences in their digital shows. But no, I just kind of wanted to put something out there because I noticed there were shows that had same thing. I was seeing shows that only had one person that was on the more masculine side of the spectrum, and that includes performer or performance. Because I do have some performers that have applied that normally skew on the binary side to more femme, applying with a number that skews more masculine. And I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I've never seen you do that. I've seen pictures. I want to see something like that. I trust you as a performer, so like give me that energy.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and going back to what you said before, like we're also in a weird time for dealing with money. Lots of folks have lost their jobs. Lots of folks who had day jobs lost their jobs, as well as nightlife and entertainment folks who lost their jobs. And like, I have I have a Patreon, and I do a Patreon request at the start of every show because I thank people who pay at a certain level. They get a shout out. Like, and I find myself now, like in the preface, saying, hey, I have a Patreon. If you can, great. But otherwise, really just like and subscribe and share the show. Like, that's more useful. Because, like, it's weird to ask for money now, but just the same, like, if you're doing, I'm sure we all agree, if you're doing some sort of service or art, you deserve to get paid for it, whatever that payment is.
Absolutely.
And so, like, my podcasts have always been free, but like that's not where I ask for money. I ask for money when I'm streaming or on my Patreon, because that's like if you're listening to more than 2 or 3 of my podcasts, I feel it's fair to ask for $1 a month. I don't think it's unreasonable, but all the same, again, I know a lot of folks are going through things. So like if people cancel their Patreons or say I can't, like I'm not going to get upset because it's hard. And when you're managing or producing a show, that gets even harder, right? You want to make sure the performers get paid, even if you as the producer don't. Like, you want to make sure that at least the performers are getting something for what they're doing. And so, I understand and respect the fact that you're trying to navigate that because it's not easy. You want to be kind to those who are going through a hard time right now, but just the same, you're trying to do a business, as Vincent Adult Man would say. You need to do a business. It's integral. One of the last questions I actually really wanted to ask is, you've been doing burlesque a while. I mean, because I feel like even 2 or 3 years is a long time in the scope of things. Like when Brettzo, you said you were doing it for 10 years. I've been DJing for almost 11 years, and it just doesn't feel like a real thing. Like I feel like it's fake, and I'm a fake. A typical artist. I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm curious, with all the wealth of experience you have and the incredible acts that you've put together, is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do in burlesque, or alternatively, is there an act that you just can't get right? Whether it's the music doesn't fit right or the character, like, is there something you either want to do that you haven't or that you can't do that you wish you could figure out and that you're working on?
Well, I mentioned it briefly. Giant influence on mine is Andy Kaufman, and something that's in the scope of what he would do, but not necessarily I'm doing a riff on Andy. Like, I don't want to be a cover band, because in the weirdness of my career, I judged a comedy competition for stand-ups, and there was, like, one of the week's prompts was, like homage of sorts, and this guy did a straight just the Mighty Mouse routine, and it was just even like a cover band kind of puts their own spin on it.
For sure, yeah.
Like, so it didn't feel genuine in the same kind of way. Like, you know, if you're riffing on that, like, if you lose the audience, why not pull out The Great Gatsby and start reading it? Like, be in the same wheelhouse, but not the same thing. I know this because I started talking about wanting to do a number as Andy, and I think somebody told me at one point, Hardcorey had a number as Andy Kaufman. Yeah. And I was like, shut it down. I don't need to do an Andy Kaufman number. So I've been taking abstract influences and kind of mashing them together. One being Andy Kaufman, and the other being, for some reason, I wanted to do a Plastic Man number. But
yeah, I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah,
it's like Plastic Man.
That's
your white whale, buddy.
That's my white whale. I don't know how to do it without it being too super prop heavy. Like, I need to have an entire spandex arm that stretches out across the audience. I need to blow my body up like a balloon. Like, there's some just logistics. So I started sketching out ideas of, like, what if I combined Andy Kaufman's transition from, Foreign Man into Elvis. Like, how he takes the jumpsuit, and that's a straight-up burlesque number. He zips down the edge of his the work coveralls, and it turns into a jumpsuit. It turns into that Elvis, like, oh, thank you very much, like, kind of jumpsuit. And, you know, Plastic Man has a pompadour. He has basically, like, Elvis glasses. How do I combine these, like, these characters together in my brain and make it, like, a Brettzo number? So that is my white whale in that case.
That's awesome. I would love to see it if it ever happens.
Yeah, no, it's there's times where I'll just look up, like, because I also have this weird fascination. I mentioned Devo before. One of their albums, they changed the look up from having the energy domes to wearing John F. Kennedy wigs. These, like, plastic shellacked hair. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to find a rubber wig that's kind of, because the Elvis wigs are a very popular one too.
Sure.
But Cool Keith and Black Elvis wears a Black Elvis wig. Like, taking that idea of, like, this hair that doesn't move and making it, like, something different.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess for me, it would be Gundam 78 too. I want to be a Gundam very badly. Like,
That's awesome.
Like, it's in my head, like, the costume, the idea, like, the bullshit showgirlness of being a Gundam. But the music and everything else, like, I don't know how that's gonna look.
Yeah.
I don't know how the audience will react to it, but I don't think that matters for them. But this is just for me. Just me wanting to be a Gundam on stage.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like there's this camaraderie in burlesque performers all wanting to be some kind of android on stage at some point. Like, a weird act that I've always wanted to do if I ever performed burlesque, which at this point I don't know will ever happen. I've always wanted to do a Proto Man act from Mega Man.
Okay.
Because, like, he's got the long yellow scarf and the sunglasses on the helmet. It's very, like, cool guy burlesque. But, like, and, like, I don't know if I do it to Mr. Roboto. That feels a little on the nose. But, like, I've always been like, if I were to ever do the kind of cool guy, like, sex appeal act, I still want it to be goofy on some level. And I feel like Proto Man or Zero from Mega Man X are both, like, cool characters that I could be goofy in that might be fun. I have no idea what song I would do or anything. But it's just an idea that's always been floating around in the back of my head.
That's what I like about Nerdlust so much, is, like, it's the horny part of DeviantArt.
Where's the lie, though? That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Well, before we wrap up, first, I, of course, want to thank you both for being on the show. This has been a blast chatting with y'all.
Oh.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell our incredible audience where each of you can be found and maybe, like, stuff they can check out, anything you want to pitch, your Twitch, your Twitter, whatever. Like, here's your chance. Pitch away.
Go ahead, Brettzo.
So I am Brettzo, Mr. the Amazing, but you can just simply search Brettzo, BRE, 2 T's, ZO. I pretty much have, like, I think I'm trying to, like, consolidate all the handles down to one. So usually it's either the Brettzo or Brettzo. On Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitch now. Basically that. I like to always say, just Googling me. There are a bunch of random ass articles because when I started as my current generation's like one of the first boylesquers, the novelty was there. So there are articles from Philadelphia presses about how burlesque isn't just for the ladies anymore.
Oh my god, when I had a crush on you, like before we started dating, I Googled you and it was just look at your fucking bullshit ass articles about Brettzo.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is the guy.
This is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. This asshole.
This is it. But plugs for me. Back to me. I'm mostly on Twitch right now, so I'm just streaming like Katamari, GeoGuessr, Deadly Premonition, a bunch of bullshit fun games. So if you just want to come unplug, I'm America Online at AOL.com. Super easy to remember.
Well, that's .dot.
D-O-T. You have to spell it all out.
Gotta spell it all out.
Amazing.
Well, I will be sure to add you to my host list. So when you're streaming, it'll show up on my page. Can't guarantee it'll get you any viewers, but at least I can support in solidarity. I appreciate having you both on so much.
Thanks for having us.
A fan of both your work for a long time. Aww. And like whenever we hang out in Meet Space, it's always a blast, and I'm looking forward to eventually do that again.
Yes.
At some point when, the apocalypse is done. But that said, I now want to have you guys close the show. I know you've listened to a few, but I'll give you a quick reminder. We have a saying on the show, which is music is life and life is good. It's this idea that if you're creating art, life, even at its worst, isn't that bad. And so usually with two guests, I'll split it up. So if Brettzo, you want to say music is life, and then America, you want to say and life is good, we'll sign off on that. So if you all can do my catchphrase, I'd be really appreciative.
Music is life.
And life is good.
That's it for this episode of Crash Chords Autographs. Our theme music is by Michael Kill. Our logo was designed by Case Aiken and Joey Amons. If you liked the show, please rate and review us on iTunes and Facebook. You'll help us reach more listeners. Questions, comments, or guest recommendations? Email matt.storm@crashchords.com or hit us up on Twitter @crashchordsweb. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Victor Devon, and I am the host of We Burlesque, the podcast. Every Monday, I talk to fabulous denizens of nightlife, including burlesque performers, both seasoned and new to the form, drag performers, performance artists, DJs, and artists who make up their respective scenes. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Please visit WeBurlesque.com to check out episode recaps and see all the formats available. And remember that music is life. Life is good.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds,
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun, whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there. So we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.